Welcome to Flat Earth Debate live and after show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, or if you're watching in a premiering stream while they're premiering. And there's also a PayPal, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you are watching this live and you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected. And if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. Now we are joined by 10th Man, Adam, Neil, Refracted Curvature, Arwin, and a whole bunch of people in Discord. So welcome one and all.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good morning, good morning.
Good morning.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good to have you all. Good to have you all. Any evidence of a physical geometric sphere edge horizon? Physical, formerly known as Earth curve?
What do you mean formally?
Not physical.
There's a lot of moisture in the air here now, so it seems like the horizon is more comporting geometrically to the ball Earth model.
Horizon?
Slightly.
What's the horizon got to do
You
with
said
anything?
formally.
I asked,
People still call it.
I asked for Earth curve.
Are
No,
we
you
talking
said
about the
formally
horizon?
known.
Are we talking about the horizon that they believe is below surface level? Or are we talking about the horizon we see?
The horizon we use,
The
the one with...
refracted horizon
Let me
seems to be
answer
more
John.
like the geometric
I
horizon
found
as it should be.
We're all very
I
keen.
found it.
We're all very
Good
keen.
morning. I found it. I found it. I found the Earth curve.
About Earth curve. Okay, no, you get precedent straight away over every one of these numpties who are just arguing about nothing. Go ahead. What have you found?
I did. I went outside, right? And I live on a golf course. And I looked straight ahead, and there's this thing right in front of my house, and it's got this stick sticking up on it, right? And it's curvy. And it goes up and it goes down, and there's another one on the other side. That's the only Earth curve that I found. Would that be considered Earth curve?
No.
Mounds? No? Okay.
Right.
I digress.
Well, back
Sorry.
to the... Well, I didn't mean to call you guys numpties. Obviously, we were definitely having a worthwhile discussion about the physical geometry formerly known as Earth curve. To answer Neil, why is it formerly known as Earth curve? Well, because Earth curve is the physical geometric leading edge of the sphere, radius 3959, at the limitation 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet, as laid down by the mathematics of a sphere Earth radius 3959. Now, that geometric limitation, since 2020, has been declared to be invisible. We wouldn't expect to see physical geometry. Nobody's expecting to see physical geometry. The geometric horizon only exists in the maths. Those are all quotes from people who apparently argue for the globe.
That's not what I'm saying. Not what I'm saying. They say there's aspects of curvature and results of curvature, like boats disappearing over the horizon.
That's not Earth
Not
curve
physical,
that's
though.
causing that. So when the assertion is made that boats go over the Earth curve, if you're going to call the horizon Earth curve, so we're now on Arwin's point, which is great, nice segue, then you need to explain it. Okay, well, that's a phenomena that you're observing, so it would fall within the remit of science, first and foremost. Secondly, if that's your assertion, that boats will disappear at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet at a physical geometric edge, then you've got a physical geometric edge again. And since 2020, as I already declared, they don't have Earth curve visible. So what is it, going behind the refraction? It's not going behind Earth curve anymore. Earth curve is the physical limitation to your view. And if they, the all Earth defenders, tell us that we wouldn't expect to see that, then if you're saying, well, boats go over it, go over what? The physical geometric sphere edge horizon that we used to argue about back in 2015? Well, no. That only exists in the maths. Hope that's clear.
Do you deny that boats
The black swan just asserts
first?
more and more that there is no physicality to the horizon. It moves with the weather.
Neil's got to be in his bonnet for me denying something that's a positive claim from a ball Earth position. Well, me denying or affirming that boats disappear bottom up at the horizon. That would be to assume that the horizon is Earth curve, and then it has to have the physical geometry I laid down twice. Now you're testing my nerves.
Well, also, you got to believe that physical geometry is below surface level, which is weird.
No, but you guys don't understand. The Earth curve is like a phoenix. So yeah, the black swan completely burns down the argument, but it will rise up again on a slightly more moist day, and then it'll be back. You can
It'll
never
never
get
rise
the
up.
Earth curve away.
What'll be back?
It'll never rise up to surface level, though, Arwen. It's impossible.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
their
but
horizon is not at
refraction.
surface level. Their horizon marked with an X on their maths, it's way below surface
Oh.
level. So we're not talking about the same thing.
Oh, it does rise to surface level. It's called refraction.
Yeah, refraction won't fix that either. The refracted horizon or the geometric horizon are both below sea level.
A bit quiet today, John,
You're g-
which isn't a bad thing. You're normally blowing my eardrums out with your overloaded mic, but today you're very soft and very subtle and very
Refracted
reassuring.
horizon is not below sea level.
It is in the maths. You've got the
What?
surface level,
Oh, the
right, on screen.
geometric.
Yeah, it's below surface level. Look in the maths on their diagram, and you've got surface level, eye level, and then geometric horizon below surface level. It is that simple.
Yes, but the geometric horizon, but not the refracted horizon.
Well, the
The
refracted
one we
horizon is a...
actually see.
No, it is also the refracted horizon. If you take Andrew Thomas Young's diagrams of refracted geometry, okay, fine. So we've got a geometric tangent point that we're going to base an R-based refraction on, even though we can't see it anymore to measure it. Okay, let's beg that question. Fine. The geometric horizon and the refracted horizon are both below surface level. That's a fact. What do you want?
This is the first time I'm hearing of that. I thought that
And?
refraction, which is not based on actual refraction, but a fictional thing, literally was there to smooth it out and make the horizon flat again.
Yeah, make it
Well-
flatter. Hold on. No, you're right. But what it's doing is it's flat. What you're saying is 7/6 of a radius in standard form or any variant thereof will flatten out the geometry of the sphere itself. What you're actually doing at 7/6R is unbending the sphere. No matter how much you unbend that sphere, it will never, ever go beyond tangency. That is to say, the point at horizontal that you draw out for surface level for the maths to work can never, ever have the sphere itself be above that point. It will always, without exception, be below horizontal. The sphere, the dingleberry. Doesn't matter how big you
Why?
make the dingleberry, it's always below horizontal. Always. It only meets at
Why?
one point. I've just nearly done that. I mean, bloody hell. It only meets at one point. The point we're going to describe as tangency is your visual point that you're taking these measurement, whatever we're doing. It doesn't matter what we're doing. We're just describing a circle below your point, reference only to you in this example. Well, you've got the dingleberry dangling below your feet and a horizontal plane extending out in all directions. The ball can only be below that. Therefore, both geometric and refracted non-existent horizons that don't block boats anymore are both below that surface level. Facts, just so you know.
You're stating that, but I don't know why though. Like, why wouldn't that fictional refraction formula be able to just flatten it out? I mean,
Because
why
even if you
does it
did,
have to? Why would it mathematically
Just
always
told you.
lead to below?
I'm telling
I
you.
don't get it. You said it. I don't get why.
well, I'm trying to tell you, and I'm trying to tell you again. You imagine the dingleberry. You've got a flat circle, and then below, at whatever point, we'll say it's the central point of the circle, you've got a dangling ball, testicle, below it. Yeah? Well, that ball, no matter how much you inflate that ball, it's always going to stay tangent to your position, below surface level. Now, if you, with 7/6R, essentially straighten out that ball, unless you make it completely straight, and it can't be, it's a derivative of a circle in all instances, no matter how much you go to infinity, as Ruhif once did, it doesn't matter. It's still always below the surface level. It can't not be, because the ball surface is always falling away from you from that point. No matter how big you make it, it's still going to be falling away, no matter how minuscule. It's qualitative. It's always falling away in a qualitative fashion, no matter how big you make it, quantitatively.
So you're basically saying that the entire formula concept itself is like a spiral, right? That's where the infinite usually comes into play when they invoke that.
No,
But it's basically like an asymptote, so it can never actually, within the graph, move beyond
This is
that
not that different.
horizon,
no,
that
no.
actual
Let
flat
me
point.
just, let
It
me
can't
state John's position
mathematically
again.
move
Hello,
there?
hold on. Hello. No, the ball Earth horizon, that is to say, Earth curve, as John stated, is always below surface level. Only existent in the maths, always below surface level.
Yes, the geometry, but I thought we were talking about the refracted
We are.
horizon, the fictional one.
We are.
May I try?
Doesn't
Yeah,
matter
but-
how much you unbend that ball, it's still a ball dangling below a plane. So therefore, every point below, apart from the tangency point where you're stood, is below you. Always, without exception. Even if you unbend
We're
it.
not.
Even if
But
you
I thought
refract, you're
we
not letting me
weren't talking
finish.
about the actual position of the actual
Yeah,
things.
it's just going to repeat the same thing. It's just talk through. Yeah, even if you unbend the ball, yeah, because it's a derivative value, i.e. 7 over 6 or any value, infinite over 6r, it's still a derivative of r. You're just making the ball less and less bally. But even if you got it to be nigh on flat within a tenth of a margin or whatever you want to describe it, it's still below horizontal.
But is
May I
that
try?
because of math?
Yeah, all 7 over 6 does is unbend the radius.
And there's no standard mathematical solution to just say this is exactly what you apply to make a circle into a perfect straight line.
You
That's
can never,
impossible.
no, you can never make a circle a straight line. You can't do it. No matter how much
Through
you try and apply
mathematical
7 over 6
alteration.
hour refraction to this ball, you will never turn it into the straight flat plane that's tangent to it. I don't know how else to phrase this. Adam, mathematically, can you help me out here? He's not getting it.
Well, he's not understanding the difference between qualitative and quantitative, first of all. He's having trouble with that. Maybe that's where we need to start. Is a ball a flat plane?
No, is that bloody obvious?
Can I give it a try?
John's got the main point just making me frustrated. John's just summed it up beautifully. Can a sphere or circle ever be a flat plane? Straight line, that is.
I don't see why it couldn't, through some magical non-existent optics effect, couldn't be even beyond that the
Come on,
horizon should be
Owen. This is
displaced
gonna be-
above
Stop
the
it.
Okay, let me
actual
ask you my
horizon.
question then. Let me ask you my
Being
question then.
ridiculous.
How
Yeah,
many
I'm being
horizontal
ridiculous.
planes
I'm
are
just
there?
trying to
Jorge, you're
figure
going to have
it
to
out.
wait. Hold on.
Yeah.
You have to wait for all the rumpusing in the G+ panels to subside because everyone's annoyed with Arwin and telling him off. Go ahead, Jorge. I think it's subsided.
Now, a question. I like to ask this question to ballers. How many horizontal planes are there on the sphere,
None.
Arwin?
None. Zero. Nada.
Infinite. Infinitely small flat planes.
Ooh, no. Infinite points of tangency if you're going to slap a load of straight lines on two balls. But no. We're not asking how many tangent points a sphere has.
Yeah, but they're all infinitely small, though.
Oh,
Can I
you-
address Arvin, please? I wasn't
I'm gonna
disagreeing
go-
with John.
I'm going to go with no. Go ahead.
I think I'll go with yes.
That means yes.
Black Swan, the last oil platform, 9.4 miles. Let's just say it's 10 because it's obviously gone further than that. The radius of the Earth would have to be 263,000 miles. So they give us a radius of 3959, and yet the Black Swan video and photo show that the Earth would have to have a radius of 263,000 miles if Earth curve, that curvature was at 10 miles. So, Arvin, what you're not understanding is this point of tangency. So it's straight, level all the way to 10 miles, but that increases the ball to 263,000 mile radius. Well, that disqualifies the first claim that the ball is 3,959 radius, which means we live on a plane and we're not on a ball.
Yeah, but that's still based on the assumption that what you're seeing is actually there, though.
What are you talking about? That's
Refraction.
nonsense coming out of your mouth.
I'm not defending you on this one, Arwen. Sorry.
You don't have to defend me on this.
All right, we
I'm
got a video
speculating.
today. This is nonsense.
Hold on. Is he trying to say the black swan video and photo does not exist?
Oh, I'm saying no. Of course, I'm not saying that. All this was a mathematical curiosity. Like, why can't it be perfectly flat mathematically? Why can't it be beyond that? Even it could be wherever
Right.
the fuck you want with math.
It can.
Right? So
I'll
I
tell
didn't
you.
get that argument at all.
It
No,
can
you
be.
can't. There are restrictions within mathematics and axioms within mathematics. You're wanting to contradict one to make the other true, to make something else in reality true, and you can't do that. A ball
Okay.
can never be a flat plane.
But what if it was just like a looping in on itself visually? Like Rumpus would say, yeah, if refraction conditions are correct, you could, with a good enough telescope, literally see your own ass because you're looking at this perfectly flattened out ball that just interconnecting still like it were a flat plane. So you would then eventually see your own back end.
Right.
That's what
You're
mathematically
stating
happened according to
oxymoron.
him.
Yeah, you're stating the oxymoron without accepting the logical repercussions of it being an oxymoron, is all you're doing.
Okay.
Yeah, you can't have this married bachelor, Arwen, no matter how much you fight for it. Once you contradict a principle in the geometry itself, like, what did you call it, John? An axiom?
Yeah, within geometry, you have principles and things that must hold true to be able to assert that geometry.
Right, like circles aren't straight lines and things like that.
Yeah, that's basic ones. Yeah.
But what Arwen's illustrating for my audience quite eloquently is the cognitive dissonance that you must go through to try and both figuratively and literally square this circle. That's what Arwen's trying to mentally do. He's trying to go through the gymnastics for you to hear, rather than a fundy just telling us we're idiots and don't understand. Arwen's trying to give you that verbally so you can understand the mental gymnastics that potentially one of your opponents who has to fight for a very, 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 very flat ball, you know, how that still doesn't work. But that's what they're ultimately fighting for, and they're trying to defy axioms, as John puts it. And Bev, for that matter. Bev is very good at detailing geometric axioms. To his credit.
I was just getting to the nitty-gritty of the details of it because also I didn't necessarily. Well, I'm not super talented when it comes to the details of math. I just got a little bit of a feel for it. So I didn't really see that. I was just like, but yeah, if it's a fictional visual effect, then why can't it just bend beyond? Like, what's the problem here? I didn't see it. But if there's a literal programming error, as in the very language that such a thing would be constructed with doesn't allow that, well, that's a limitation I have to submit to, basically. I didn't see that, though. So thanks for explaining that to me.
So you didn't know in advance a straight line is different than a circle?
No,
we can demean him.
it's not what
Stop. Everyone stop. It's not fair, right? I've just praised him for being able to... You guys don't recognise the benefits of Arwen. Shame on you all, right?
But what I was doing the same thing
just
you
let me
did. I
finish.
was giving a baller credit for
Okay.
not recognizing circle between the straight line.
Okay. Right. How many times do people on the panel say, why would you do that? What makes you mentally do that? How do you feel when you're doing that? They always appeal, not always, it's not stereotype either. Some of you guys, I'm talking to now, want to know what the hell is going through someone's mind when they do this stuff. Yeah? That's what I'm asked. How can you do that? Matthew Learn's got quick. I was rolling my eyes going, who cares how he feels about it? Right? But the point is, people want to know. How can you be in such severe cognitive dissonance describing everything as flat and then ignoring it to say that you just prefer to beg the question of a sphere? How does that make you feel when you're doing it? Arwen gives us a glimpse, only a small one, because that's all we can have, into what you would have to mentally do to make a flat surface a sphere.
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
And I'm genuinely curious as to how that would work in their minds, because I'm pretty good at trying to imagine what it's like, but even what they do just goes like another notch beyond. It's really difficult to really follow track, to back engineer that process. And that's what I just tried to do.
Yeah, and I just
So
said,
thanks for indulging me.
and I gave you a glimpse that those people think straight lines are circles.
Right, now we've got all the
Exactly.
qualifiers. You can demean the explanation disseminated by Arwin rather than Arwin, because if you just say it after Arwin stated it, it just makes Arwin sound like he's stupid, and he's not.
No, I
Come
didn't.
on.
Oh my
That's
gosh, I didn't.
ridiculous, Nathan.
I didn't
Look,
hear that.
Arwin is
I
a
didn't-
very delicate flower, and you all need to
Oh
respect
my
that.
God, what are you
Come on,
peddling now?
Nathan.
What are you
No,
peddling
I
now
get
with
it.
that flower
No,
stuff?
these buggers are pretending like I'm white knighting for you when I'm not. I'm white knighting for my audience. I see the value, and that's it. I just don't want I don't want the value to get lost because Arwin gets pissed off because it just sounds like in the discussion he's like, well, how do we make this flat surface work with the sphere surface I know I'm not standing on, but people do. And then at the end of it, you go, well, so you understand now that a flat line can't be a circle. It sounds like you're saying it to Arwin. That's not my main point. My main point is I want the audience to understand that this doesn't work spherically when we're dealing with flat.
All right, well, let's get on with today's review video because it's on this subject. We're going to see 86 mile, 140 kilometers straight, Saskatchewan, Canada. And the guy's going to prove the Earth is a ball with his bicycle.
Okay, so as always, this is the same old, same old. Let me just get back to my live streaming menu, make sure everything's okay and I'm not missing any super chats. Right, this video is called How I Proved the Earth is Round, open brackets, with my bike and 2 sticks. What's with the capitalization? How I proved is in capitals, then the is in lowercase, Earth in uppercase, is in lowercase, round in uppercase, open brackets, with my in lowercase, bike in capitals and in lowercase, 2 sticks in capitals. Okay.
Now I gotta let you know we're going to be laughing a lot, I have some stills that I'll be. Hang on, we're going to be laughing a lot, and I got some still photos that I'll be putting in Master D for you. If you want to use it, it's up to you.
As always, Kurtis Baute. I hope I'm saying your name right. Either way, is it Butte or is it Buell? I can't see, my projector slightly out of focus today. I haven't got to that step. Lots of things went wrong, as always. Anyway, let him know there's a chat comment going by with a link to this chap's videos, or this video specifically. Please let him know that at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. The idea being that he not only realises that we've responded to his video, that he would make a response to us if he feels that we need to address something that we've missed or that we've treated him unfairly in our critique of his presumably globe earth proof with sticks and shadows. We'll see how we get on though. Okay, so let him know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. As I say, there is a chat link going by in the live stream chat right now. And we're going to get into this. Thanks for supplying it. 10th man's choice. As always, I have no idea. We're going in completely blind.
Around 1 in every 10 Americans say that they believe that the Earth is flat, or that they at least have their doubts that it's round. I'm going to test that. I'm going to test if the Earth is flat or not. And to do that, I actually need to go somewhere where it's super flat. So that's why I'm going to Regina, Saskatchewan in Canada, and I'm going to measure.
Okay, I'm a bit of a loss already.
So he's already conceded that he's going to a very flat place to measure whether the Earth is flat or a sphere. Okay.
Yeah, straight off the bat, this sounds silly. Arwin's already stolen my thunder. How silly it is. Am I missing something? Arwin's obviously on the same vibe I am.
No, that's why. Go on, John.
I'm guessing he's going to use the incident angles of light and the shadows that are created on a flat plane to assert that light's parallel, and then ignore the angle that he just took and say it's a ball.
Yeah, so as you play it, when he says the distance that it's flat is 140 kilometers, and I've got in Master D 3 different kilometers to miles conversions, and they all say almost 87 miles. There's 140 kilometers. That'd be totally flat, 87 miles. Now, if you go to the Earth curve calculator, and this guy believes he lives on a ball with Earth curve on it, on that 87 miles, it's close to 5,000 feet of curvature. But he just said it was all flat.
Yeah, it's because it's all flat, right?
Well, this is why I said we're going to laugh.
Sure, but to make the assertion that he just has is in reference to sea level. How much relief or elevation increase do you have with reference to zero? Oh, my bitrate is slipping right the way down. If you're getting a stuttery stream, I have no idea why my internet connection's slowing right down, but it is. In any event, he's going to start with the actually measured flat surface in order to assert how flat anywhere is, right? In order to assert how high something is with respect to sea level is not saying how much Earth is curving away from your position. For me, here in the middle of right in the middle of England, there's a oak, the Midland Oak it's called, and it's down the road from me, marks the centre of England, right? That's right in the middle where I am, about as landlocked as I could be, as far as away from the coast as you can be. And I think from memory, I'm about 280 feet above sea level. Well, that's a considerable distance, maybe 150 miles from me to the sea, but there's only a 250-foot drop, there or thereabouts, till you get to the cliffs, and you can see the sea. Well, there's no Earth curve in that idea of an elevation increase from sea level up to 250, 260, whatever it is, I can't remember exactly, feet where I am. Now, for this guy, he's describing the same thing. You're at sea level, you go inland, and then you find out where we're going to start our elevation X number of feet above sea level, and then travel across a vast distance, and then stop and go, well, how much have I risen or fallen since I started this journey? Very little, therefore very flat. Okay, but the assertion is the ground is falling away 8 inches per mile squared. So what we're going to have now is a description of how a flat surface is actually curved. That's all we're going to get out of this numpty, which is what we've got now, because this is numptiness. When you say how flat something is, let's go see if we can find out how curved it is. It just seems crazy.
And calculate the size of the Earth using just my bicycle and 2 sticks. This is not a joke.
That makes no sense. You've just described how you're going to measure a flat plane because it's very flat. And then you're going to say, how are we going to get the size of the Earth? So you're implying it's got a size and shape. Why are you going to get that when you're deriving it from a flat plane? But that's what we'll be doing, right? Deriving it from a flat plane?
I'm here with Casey at the Saskatchewan Science Center, and we've got 2 identical sundials set up. Right now, since they're in the same place, the shadows are the same length. But I'm going to be leaving one of them here with you, Casey. You ready?
Let's do it.
Okay. And
Why doesn't he explain the methodology? Maybe we'll get into it later in the video. But based on a presupposition that the angle change between these 2 shadows, which will be taken off a flat plane, he's just shown you. We've got, what, right angle things. Okay, so we're going to take angle differences off a flat plane then, with these sticks. Right, well that means you've got 2 angle differences.
Can I ask a question?
A flat surface. I mean, not in the middle of my point, but go ahead.
So, because I'm not looking on YouTube, I'll have a look in a second. Does this bicycle has pedals?
Does this bicycle have what?
Pedals.
Pedals? Yeah, I would assume so. Looks like a push bike.
I mean, why would it need pedals on the sphere? Just push. You go. It should have a vertical drop 8 inches per mile square. It doesn't need pedals. Whee!
Well,
morning,
that's
guys.
tricky, man.
Okay.
Morning, everybody.
Hey, Chocolate.
Like I say, if you're getting a bit of a stuttery live stream, I do apologise. I have no idea why my internet connection rate's waving all over the place, but it is.
he is going to set it up on this very spot right here. And I'm taking the other sundial and I've strapped it to my bike. And I'm going to bike down that road right there. And that road is the reason that I've come all of the way to Saskatchewan, because that road is perfectly straight for somewhere around 140 kilometers.
Okay, so the distance that he's going to measure along a flat, straight road. Right, but if you were doing this over a chord line for a sphere, then you'd have to be travelling through the ground to get a straight line distance, wouldn't you? It would be a chord line, but that would mean you dissecting a sphere by slicing the top of it to give you a straight flat road to travel along. Otherwise, you're travelling up and over. So it is literally going to be utilize a flat earth to measure an angle to then not juxtapose, to reinsert the angle measurement from the surface into a ball earth so that the earth becomes the protractor that's being rotated. That is literally what's going to happen, isn't it?
I'm sorry. Did he say perfectly straight for 140 kilometers? Is that what he said?
Yes,
Yeah, I heard wrong.
no, that's right. It's a flat plane for at least 140 miles. He knows of.
Right, that's what he's saying.
Oh, okay. How much curvature should be in 140 kilometers? Which is what, like 90 miles, something like that?
5,000 feet or so.
In his
No one is
mind,
claiming.
using the flat plane to work out how sphere shaped it is reasonable. In his mind, this is okay.
He's just measuring the angle change of the sun and presupposing he's on the sphere, even though he's measuring it flat.
Did he
But-
say, is he confusing straight and level?
Maybe you're just as confused as I am, because I could have sworn I heard him say straight, a straight road for 140 kilometers. So
You can have a straight line that's not curved, but it's not level. Is he a
He said it-
retard?
He said it was prior to this flat for 140 miles is what he claimed.
Well, not
kilometers.
may have, but that's not what I just heard. Does everyone follow
All
that?
of the way to Saskatchewan, because that road is perfectly straight for somewhere around 140 kilometers. And I'm
There you go.
It's straight, not flat.
It's pedantic, but we know what he's talking about, but he's a retard, right? Yes, everyone got that.
I've come to
Yeah, but
measure
prior
that
to
distance
that,
on
he
my
already
bike.
stated.
Okay, so I just zeroed the
Prior to that.
odometer. Let's get started. Here goes science. Okay.
Science is back, baby.
Science is back, baby. I'm measuring a distance. Does he not understand that this is clearly, at the best, maths? That's what this is. He's measuring something. Why does he say...
He doesn't know
with a
that
bike.
science.
Go on.
Well, he just doesn't know that science isn't math.
Right.
This is Highway 33, and since it's very flat here and there are no...
Right. Since it's very flat, we're going to use it
What?
to calculate
Saying that.
sphericity. My God, why is I'm getting interrupted every time I start a sentence now? This is going to become unlistenable real quick, lads. Yeah, it's super, super flat. Perfect for measuring sphericity. Go ahead.
I just said, like, keep saying that. Yeah, it's flat. We know.
mountains to go around or hills to go over. This is one of the longest straight roads in the whole world. And that's why I'm here.
Let's pretend.
Okay.
Nathan. So basically he's inferring that you can have a spherical Earth and still have flat land. Basically, that's what he's trying to infer. Even though we know it's flat because it's flat, but he's trying to say you can still have. Right. But he's saying you can still have. Look, I got 83 kilometers, 146 kilometers of flat land, but it's still a sphere. That's stupid. Because he don't know the maths. He's a retard. Like Like QE said, it's flat because it's flat, not because a sphere has flat surfaces for many
Don't
miles.
hate. Don't hate, bro. You're trying to prove the Earth curve with a bike.
It gets worse.
Pretend
No
that
way.
this orange
No
is
way.
the Earth.
Yeah, it gets worse.
Now,
Just
this is the Earth,
just
and
realize.
these two sticks are going to be the two sundials we're working with. So I'm going to put them in. Don't try this at home.
What, riding a bike on a road?
Please. Okay. Since the orange is round, anytime we line up the shadows like this,
Then it won't match your straight, flat road that you're travelling along. You see, this orange isn't straight and flat. You know, this obvious flaw in logic seems to have slipped this guy by. I don't get it. Why is it so obviously flat and straight requirement to get ball? It seems stupid. Anybody else?
Well, hang on.
Anyone else
Yeah,
think
yeah.
that's reasonable?
Yeah.
Is that a reasonable inference? Anybody?
Well, when you assume that you live on an orange, a ball, then all of these things must emanate from where? The surface that's curved or somewhere else?
If you've got a curved surface, you've got a curved surface. If I'm thinking that I'm looking for a curved surface, I'm not going to go out and look for the flattest part possible, am I? It seems absurd.
I totally understand. The whole point is Black Swan 3959. Every horizon distance can be no further than, okay, and then this guy goes to the flattest, straightest part in Canada, 140 kilometers, which is about 87 miles, which should have 5,000 feet of drop. And then he's going to say, see, I proved the Earth is round on the flat surface. This is exactly how they think.
Because of my orange tennis ball.
Orange.
But he's not detailing drop. He's detailing a flat plane.
Yes. You
Let-
got to
let him
have a
keep
flat
doing it.
plane to have the ball. The ball came from a flat plane. He's just showing us how.
they will never be the same length. If the shadow on the right is short, we can expect the one on the left to be longer. If they were the same length, then the orange would have to be flat. Now we can also...
There's
we
the flaw in logic.
Should we just hear that again?
What?
Yeah, just let's hear that again.
The shadow on the right is short, we can expect the one on the left to be longer. If they were the same length, then the orange would have to be flat. Now we can also measure the...
What? If they were the same length, the orange would have to be flat. That makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. If you move a light source over two sticks on a flat surface, they'll have different length shadows, as one is further away from the light source than the other. I mean, this is stupid. Is he literally
Well, see,
inferring that this demonstrates that it is spherical, as opposed to, well, it could work either way, but I've decided it's spherical? He actually thinks it's proving it one way or the other. Wow.
Well, you remember the whole point of Carl Sagan and these guys, when he bends that plane into an arc of a sphere and the shadows change, is that the shadows, the differences in shadow lengths is due to the Earth curving away. But this guy went to the flattest, straightest part, but he's not bent. He's not on that orange that he's talking about. So their whole thing is sun far away, parallel rays, and the Earth is curving away to cause the shadow lengths. Whereas, like you said, a much closer light, the sun, and as it moves over two sticks, it's going to cast two different. I mean, it's divergent. It's obvious.
Right, but even within the parallel claim, it's still on a flat plane because you're measuring the angle of incident where the tip of the shadow, right, with the top of the object, right? You're going to measure that angle in that flat plane below it. So even the parallel rays requires Earth to be flat. So
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a carrot, Don. It's a carrot, not a knife.
Hang on. And he even puts a drawing of a 90-degree in Regina and the other place with a right angle triangle. You'll see that coming. It's so amazing.
length.
Did you want to add something, Jorge?
No, I'm just saying he got the color right. I think he confused the orange with the carrot. Carrot is orangey though.
Okay.
Of the two
But
shadows at the
it's
same
it's plain.
time
When
and
you
measure
say-
the distance between them and figure out the circumference. Since the sun is really far away, we can treat its
Really? Why is the sun really
What?
far away? Oh, is it because of Kepler's third law of interplanetary motion and the assumption Christian Huygens made that Venus had the same R value as Earth as a sphere? So before we've even got any measurements, we're going to decide that we've got an infinitely far away star? Or one that's scaled with Kepler? I'm not going to make that assumption. Why would I assume that? No, I don't assume the sun is anything. I don't know how far the sun is. I know it moves over GP positions throughout the day. That's about it.
You know that Christopher Huygens, he's got his dumb. Oh, I almost swore. He got his dumb in a lot of subjects. Did you know that?
Huygens?
Guess what? Yeah, Huygens.
Oh, Huygens.
Yeah.
Huygens. Yes, I knew you mean.
Huygens. Yeah. You know that modern ether theory, guess where that came from?
No way, that came from Huygens. Really? I did
Yeah.
not know that.
Wow.
Yeah, I'll get you a citation. Yeah, you can move on. Sorry to interrupt, but when you said Huygens, he's everywhere in some numpty shit. Sorry.
No, that's a worthy interruption if ever I've heard one.
light
Well,
as
thank you.
coming in straight lines. And therefore,
What? Has he never seen crepuscular? Crepuscular? How do you say that word? Anybody? Help me out.
What the heck?
Crepuscular.
Crepuscular. I knew I'd get there from someone. Crepuscular rays.
Luminiferous.
Right.
You know the thing.
The thing where they're not looking straight at all. They're looking like they're converging on the sun.
Yeah, that thing.
I think your words were diverging a bit.
My bad.
we can figure out what angle it's hitting both of the sticks at. And
Angle sounds like two
Angle.
straight lines. So you're going to figure out the angle, two straight lines, that it hits. Okay. You'll need a flat baseline for that, though, won't you? You need a flat Earth to do these angles. See why you picked this now, Tenth.
that allows us to figure out what angle the two sticks would meet up at in the center of the orange.
Oh, really? So now we're not measuring angles with sticks on the ground. Actually, these angle measurements on the ground using a flat plane are taking place in hell, in the middle of the orange. Were you taking these angles from hell on your little bicycle? No. So why'd you need them to be in the centre of the orange in hell? Oh, it's because you've already made a few presuppositions about very far away stars, parallel light, and therefore transposition of angle taken off a flat plane to hell. What an outrage. I mean, we've just pointed out how nonsensical it is, but to try and make sense of it, you're going to say that this angle's coming from hell? In the core? You're not doing that, though, are you? Why are you peeling this orange? Peel off the shit that's underneath your bloody bike right now. Grab a handful of the dirt, peel it back, and dig to hell to make this make sense. Oh, you can't peel off the ground. You can only do it on the very flat road. So flat that the angles, only capable of a flat road, are going to be transposable to the centre of a sphere that you're assuming in the form of this orange by suggesting that you're going to go to hell with these flat earth angles. What an outrage. Good video, Tenth. Good video.
Since it's orange, it's the pith of hell.
without having to pull the orange apart. Let's say that angle, this angle here, is
Holds it up to the straight flat road. I don't see any fiery molten iron core in the distance there, Sunshine. So why would it be that we're in the middle of an orange suddenly? This seems very silly. Anybody go to the centre of their orange today? To use the flat earth angles taken from the surface?
Doesn't
Can you
seem like a
get-
very appealing argument.
Does the molten iron core get a lot of sunlight in his mind
I don't know.
to measure?
How many angles you getting in hell? I really don't know. He thinks he's getting a 45-degree angle from the centre of a sphere Earth he's not standing in. Yeah, you heard me right.
45
Maybe you
degrees.
should ask Danny Faulkner.
That's 1/8 of a circle. So the distance between...
Oh, I see. So the angle you took on the surface, as detailed earlier, totally called it, is actually a section of a protractor that is Earth. So the orange is now the measuring device for how many degrees. So basically, Earth becomes a big protractor with you standing in the middle of it. But you're not standing in the middle of an Earth-based protractor, are you? With Earth rotating around you to decry how many flat Earth angles you took off the surface? It's just stupid.
the two sticks, this distance here, that is 1/8. That's 1/8 of the circumference around the orange. So
yeah, if you transpose the angle from the surface to the center and make the Earth the protractor that you've just used on its surface. Why? Well, so I can have the angles that come in parallel, obviously, move to the center of hell. You weren't taking any angles from hell. You're not moving any angles to hell. And you're certainly not going to infer that the protractor you're using on the surface is actually the core of Earth rotating. That's what they're doing, ladies and gentlemen. That's all the trick is. Take an angle from a flat Earth, put it in hell, and rotate the Earth as though it's the protractor. That's all that the trick is.
we measure that distance, we multiply it by 8, and we know how big the orange, or the Earth, is.
How? Off a flat plane when you've got angles from a flat plane? There is no orange. There is no sphere. You just measured how flat it was.
That's what I'm doing, except instead of these two sticks, we're using sundials, and instead of measuring this with a ruler, I'm measuring it with my bike.
With your balls. That's what you're measuring it with. But you're not standing in the middle of the ball to get the angle that you're going to infer is a protractor rotating around your position when you're in the center of hell. So, yeah, this is nonsensical.
Right now, in Saskatchewan, I got the wind at my back, and it is a beautiful day.
On God's flat Earth.
I'm clocking at 28.8 kilometers an hour. This is just great. Things are awesome. To celebrate the 100-kilometer mark, I'm going to eat the Earth.
That was an orange. The one that you assume after you've travelled 100 kilometres on a very flat road. I mean, this is religious fundamentalism. Right, I'm going to eat...
still got 40.
I'm going to eat the protractor, I'm going to infer, is the angle I've taken from the surface. Go on, Tenth.
I'm laughing so hard the way your commentary is perfect. No, he's still got 40 more kilometers to go. He's going to celebrate the 100-kilometer mark. He's eating the Earth, and he's so happy he's got wind in his back. These globers are amazing.
It's pretty good. It shouldn't surprise you that I'm not the first person to do this experiment.
No.
An experiment is the establishment of the cause of a naturally occurring phenomena by way of systematic experimentation based on a scientific prediction, otherwise known as a hypothesis. A hypothesis establishes your presumed cause of the effect you are studying, known as the dependent variable. Your presumed cause is known as the independent variable, and you will vary your independent variable to see if it causes the dependent variable. That is hypothesis actualization, otherwise known as an experiment. This is a guy on a bike measuring angles off a flat Earth. It is most assuredly not an experiment.
Well said. Kiwi, get ready for your dang Eratosthenes quote coming up.
A Greek scientist named Eratosthenes did it 2,200 years ago, except instead of it being...
Nathan, for the benefit of the doubt, I know it's not a scientific experiment, but could you kind of, for the benefit of the doubt of this numpty, can you break down, if you were misinterpreting a scientific experiment, what his natural phenomena observation was, then his independent variables are, and then how his hypothesis is proven, just for fun?
We failed at step one. It doesn't have a naturally occurring phenomena to study.
Okay, so we can't even go forward with that. I digress. I'm sorry.
No, this is a measurement. This is mathematics. This is a quantitative thing in terms of the inferences he'll draw thereafter are absurd. We've pointed that out. But in terms of, to answer your question, where would this fit into the scientific method? Where would be his independent variable and dependent variable, therefore, what's his phenomena that he's studying and what's he varying to cause it. He's not. There is no what phenomena? Him travelling along a road holding sticks? That's not a naturally occurring phenomena. I don't often look out my window and go, oh my God, it's that biker again doing the angle thing. This happens all the time. I must vary and manipulate something to figure out what caused that effect.
Otherwise, it's going to make me look at bikers in a whole new way after that. But he did start the video by saying calculate.
And then he went go science, didn't he? He's just trying to, like all of them, lend a bit more validity to his bullshit. If you think as an audience member that he's doing science because you were trained in 5th grade that science is empirical, that's if you follow the method I just disseminated with a null alongside the scientific prediction. That's a hypothesis. That would be to say, if I vary my presumed cause, it won't cause the effect. And with those two alongside each other, if A then B or if A not B, then you can only have one outcome. Either it'll cause it or it won't when you vary it. Therefore, the outcome, if A not B, if it doesn't cause the effect, is an empirical outcome. If A then B, you do cause the effect, is an empirical outcome. So that's why when people use this terminology like science, let's go and do an experiment, here's my hypothesis, it's because they want you, the audience member, to instinctually know that there's some empiricism attached to his total bullshit that has no empiricism and is just a measurement on a flat earth, with him eating an orange and saying he's in hell with the angles coming from the centre.
In Regina and Staunton, he used the cities Alexandria and Syene. And those cities were 800 kilometers apart.
It must be that there's bike thumbnails smashing at people's eyeballs while this is going on, because there's well over 100 people watching. Woohoo! Please share the show if you're watching and you've only just joined. There's a good chance that without me even prompting them, there's people who watch regularly and have already shared the show, and that's probably why you're here. That's probably why we're at 106 people watching. Wonderful. Please share the show if you've not done so already. If you've only just joined us, you probably won't be aware of what we're doing. We are covering how I proved the Earth is round, open brackets, with my bike and 2 sticks. Please let him know. Obviously, come back if you've only just got here. At Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. So there is a link to this guy's video, which is Kurtis Baute. And if you can click on that link, go and let him know. At Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. Hopefully, if he were to respond to all the wonderful people who come here and go and let these people know that we're looking at their videos and critiquing their ball earth religion, they'd do the same in response. They'd put my link in their video, and hopefully I'd get some algorithmic love by way of them rather than YouTube, which is something that we are definitely not getting. So there we go. It's obviously selfish motives, but they still get helped in the algorithm if you're going and commenting on their video.
They didn't have bicycles back.
Nathan.
Yes.
Just a note here. He said Eratosthenes 800 kilometers apart, Syene and Alexandria. It was just yesterday, I believe. Lawrence Krauss said it was 100 miles on horseback, and this guy's on the bike. So we're making some progress.
So 500 miles on bike. No, it's get it right. Stadia is 500 miles on a bike, 100 miles on a horse. Did you know that? Don't you know what Stadia is?
There were 2 wells too.
Was one of them Orson?
Thank God these guys aren't archaic or anything.
What's the line? Oh God, what's the name of that guy's sledge? Oh, bloody hell! There's a really famous Orson Welles line at the end of. Come back to me.
Does he got sisters?
Sorry.
Does he got sisters?
I'm not focusing on the puns. I've got too many gauges to watch.
So he had someone pace the distance between the 2 cities, which is crazy. And they were 800 kilometers apart. And his measurement and his calculations were so precise that
here we go.
It was still within 1% to 16% of the actual circumference of the Earth.
What? Hold on. Am I right in saying a couple of weeks ago I came in and said something that had a 4% change was noticeable, and Anthony was all over me like flies on dog do. We were like, nah, up to 5%. That's just margin of error. And I'm like, really? Up to 5%? Yeah, margin of error. Beyond 5% is significant. I'm like, no, okay, fine. My 4% change isn't significant then. It's just margin of error. Whatever. But in this instance, we've got Earth between 1 and 16% of the actual circumference of Earth. 2 problems. 1, that's a massive difference. 2, let's see the actual circumference measurement so we can compare and see if this scale is right. Where's the actual measurement? Because so far you've just measured a flat Earth. So we're going to need something better than this to compare, even if we did and begged your indulgence, or you begged ours, with this assumption of a sphericity that you're not measuring on a flat, straight road. Yeah, we're going to need to see the actual measurement to see if it is within
Nathan.
1 and 16%. I mean, yeah.
Nathan,
If
is
they
there...
keep going at this, sorry.
Go on. Go on, Chocolate. I'll go after
I
you.
was just going to say, if they keep going at this rate, what Aristophanes did will be more accurate than the actual circumference of the Earth.
All right, so we've got, is there control variables in the real scientific experiment?
Control variables. By control variables, you mean variables that you keep under control,
Yes,
aka not vary them.
correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everything that's not the attempted induced effect, and everything that's not what you're varying should be kept under control.
Right. So we've got this claim of this person, Eratosthenes. Now, Lawrence Krauss said someone got on horseback and went the distance. This guy said with Eratosthenes, he paid someone or someone volunteered to pace 500 miles. Now, which one of these stories made up? Are all of them made up? What's going on? Why can't they get this experiment exactly right?
Not an experiment.
No, they were pipe hitting surveyors.
Earth.
That's
That's
copyrighted.
incredible. But we don't know exactly what his answer was because he used a unit called stadia, which was how big a stadium was. And there were different sizes.
Was it? How big a stadium was his stadia? Is that correct?
I don't know where he got that from. We'll have to do a little research, but that's the first time I ever heard it when he said that.
I see. I mean, it just, when he said it, do you think that sounds cool? Okay. How big's a stadium? Anybody? It's a stadium.
It's possible that stadium is the single unit of the stadium
is.
measuring scale.
Oh, I see. So you're saying that the stadium is the single unit of the stadia. Yes, that's very helpful. So how big's a stadium?
However
They're
big you need it to be.
Yeah,
Paul
they're all
corrected
different.
us one time on Flatzoids. We thought he made a mistake, and we laughed at him for saying stadium.
If you're
Paul
not getting this,
corrected us.
if you're not getting this right, if I say I'm going to give it in heels. Oh, what's a heel? Oh, well, it's a measurement standard. I mean, I don't know what it is, but I think it's town halls. What do you mean? Well, it's the size of a town hall. Okay. How big's a town hall? I don't know. I mean, it depends on the town hall, I guess.
People
As big as you
oftentimes
need
use
it to be.
football field.
Look, if he doesn't know and he hasn't got a clue, then 1 to 16% seems reasonable. Because it could be 1 to 16% if you don't really know. I mean, how's he got this scale if he doesn't know what he's comparing? Ugh.
Sizes of stadiums, and we don't know what one he meant.
Oh, we don't? Wonderful.
So his answer has been lost to the sands of time.
So accurate to within 1 to 16%.
But I'm going to try to redo it.
To the sands of time, but it's accurate to within 1%.
Now, you see what-
Ascending time as
These
well.
guys are crazy.
what this guy doesn't realise is, regardless of the accuracy of stadia, that's very much as for the fun of it, majoring on the minors. No, his methodology is the same as yours, mate. He used a flat Earth too.
With a huge upgrade in technology, we're using a bike. I biked 138 kilometers today
On a flat Earth.
from Regina to reach the first stop sign. It's the end of the road, and it is Stoughton. Okay,
He said
so I
with a
just
huge
set up one.
upgrade to technology. We're using a bike.
And now he's-
Fantastic.
And now he's getting an angle.
It just confirmed it's flat.
Now he's getting an angle. Right? So what is this straight line meeting a curve? Wouldn't be an angle. So you're going to use the flat Earth to measure this angle.
one sundial in Stoughton, and Casey set up the other one in Regina. We made sure that they were both level and checked that they were both...
Why would you want to make sure they're both level? Oh, because it needs a flat earth to do this. Yes, that's right. You'd level your tool to get your angle. Yeah. Yeah, you need a flat earth for this. You notice you're not measuring an angle from hell and leveling it at the centre. No, you're on the surface measuring how flat it is by leveling both tools, because they wouldn't be angles if they were along a curved baseline between each other, and you'd have just fallen several thousand feet from the first position to the second.
Aligned with one another, and everything seems to be good. Okay, I think my math was a tiny bit off because I thought that the measurement was going to take place at 10:59, and it is 11:04, and we're still a few minutes away. So I think it will be more like 11:15, but you know, with this experiment, what matters
Not an experiment. You're measuring flat earth angles.
Is that the sundials are lined up with the road and lined up with each other, and I just...
Along a flat baseline, as long as you got them nice and level and nice and flat, and the road you travelled on's flat.
Just got off the phone with Casey in Regina, and we are...
He's doing the same. He's measuring an angle off a flat surface.
Are at the exact same point, the exact same angle right now with...
Yep, you're going to need a flat earth for that.
Our sundials. At least...
He needs an equatorial plane for his sundial.
No, his equatorial plane works at the centre of his hell. So if you say, oh, we'll give him his equatorial plane, well, that's what he thinks he's on when he's in the centre of his orange. That's an equatorial plane. That's what you're describing. But in more crude, I don't have to go to that. He's not doing that. He's just doing an angle measurement on a flat plane. It's really crude. But it still needs a flat earth.
This angle is the same. Yeah, I know, a little nerve-wracking, right? We're really close though. Mine is officially on the meter stick. Is yours almost there? Yeah. Okay, so in another, like, maybe we'll say 10 seconds, you can grab your chalk. Your line looks pretty good, right?
Your angle measurement off a flat earth looks pretty good, huh?
So this is it, okay. Okay, we'll take the measurements in 3, 2, 1.
Flat earth! Hooray!
Now, I've got okay, I just measured my shadow, and mine was 66.1 centimeters. And then I called...
I'm okay, we're only halfway through this video. What else could he possibly have? Is he just going to go through his maths of extrapolating out a flat plane measurement to a sphere Earth at the centre or on a chalkboard or something, 10th?
What he's going to have is Don't Say 90 coming up soon.
Casey, and his was 70.0 centimeters, which means that our shadows are 3.9 centimeters different. Mine is 3.9 centimeters smaller than his is in Regina, which means...
Come again? Mine is 3 centimeters smaller in Regina. They say that typically.
Did he say vagina? Did he say vagina?
No,
Regina with an
3
R.
centimeters smaller in Regina.
Oh,
Earth
God.
is a sphere.
Oh, I was hearing
and
other
it means
things.
Look,
As
let's just
as
all
long
get
as
a grip. We are not 13 years old anymore.
that I can calculate
Whoa.
the size of the Earth. Now,
Can you? Really?
Well,
What?
hold on.
Using all those flat earth angles? Go on, John.
I was going to say, as long as his conclusion doesn't involve him disregarding the measurements he just took, I'm interested to hear it. But it seems like he's getting ready to say that the baseline was curved, therefore it wasn't an angle that I just took.
Well, we shall see.
I hope.
We'll see. You get the kudos. You called it first.
I expect that it won't be exactly accurate, but it's going to be pretty darn close.
Really? You know an experiment has an empirical outcome, right? If you were doing science, as you alluded to, and you just did an experiment, then it would be empirical in terms of its outcome. Yeah? Pretty close isn't something you hear from an experimental setup when it's been concluded.
Oh, that's really, really rad. Okay, cool. I'm gonna hang up and get packed and get on the road. We now have all of the measurements that we need in order to do the calculations for the circumference of the Earth.
Really? Looks very much like you got a chalkboard, aren't you, down there? Oh, this isn't going to work out well.
So I left Regina on my bike and I cycled all the way to Stoughton. That distance was 138 kilometers. When I got to Stoughton, I set up a sundial that was...
What's this? What's this 90-degree thing doing here? Oh dear! That's not going to bode well when you talk about a curved baseline with the measurement of an angle coming from the centre, because you won't have a 90 on the surface, will you? But you had a 90 here, isn't that interesting?
100 centimeters high, and I measured the shadow of the sundial at a specific time.
On a flat Earth?
The shadow was 66.1 centimeters long. And so we can do some simple math to figure out the angle at which the sun was hitting the top of the sundial. And that,
on a flat Earth,
that turns out to be 56.5 degrees.
Off horizontal. I mean, I don't know if I'm just premature, John, but it doesn't seem like it. At the moment, he's just telling us how flat it is.
There has to be build-up. No great trick is ever done without a bit of fluff before it.
But the fluff is a flat Earth, and it's the measurement he's done.
Well, it has to be, Nathan. The Earth's obviously flat, so you have to use the flat Earth.
I see. Maybe that's why this is buried 2/3 of the way in the video.
Now, at the exact same time I was taking that measurement, Casey in Regina was taking another measurement on an identical sundial, and his measurement was 3.9 centimeters longer. He measured a shadow of 70.0 centimeters. And that means that the Earth is a sphere.
What? Let me get it straight. 2 angles with 2 baselines, and the angles off horizontal with 90 on your measuring depiction. That is unequivocally a flat Earth. But you're saying that as a result of 2 flat Earth angle measurements off flat baselines with degree measurements that can only be asserted if you've got a flat baseline to give you the angle, means that Earth's a sphere? I mean, I'm not being funny about the prestige here, John, but that was pretty terrible. In terms of the conclusion, showing how Earth is measured flat with flat baselines and angle measurements with 90 degrees off a flat baseline and the degree measurement off a flat baseline to tell the audience that Earth's a spherical surface. That's a really terrible prestige, John. I mean...
Hang on. John's point will be validated soon. Keep going.
I want to hear his reaction now. He hasn't seen this video either, has he?
No.
Well, John, this isn't looking good. No, he's not playing along.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know what I was supposed to say. My lines. I lost my page on my lines.
That's all right. The script was late coming today.
Sphere, and we can calculate its circumference. We use the same math to figure out the angle that the sun hit the top of his sundial.
On a flat Earth.
That was 55.0 degrees.
Off horizontal.
Since we know the angle...
He's not. He's getting it off a flat Earth. He's just repeatedly showing us flat Earth measurements over and over again.
Well, and he uses math. He just said it. We're using this math to come to that conclusion. And yeah, all the measurements, the actual measurements, were all flat.
So he's saying flat, but in his mind, he's doing it on a sphere. What a numpty.
No.
Don't miss this.
No, he's not. In his mind, he's doing it flat because he just showed you the diagrams of it flat. So no.
No, but I'm saying his logic is it's a sphere.
Other than saying, look, if I measure flat Earth elevation, sorry, not flat Earth elevation. If I measure flat Earth angles off a flat baseline with respect to horizontal in 2 different positions, then my flat Earth angles means the Earth's a sphere. Yes, Neil, that is literally how ham-handed this has been so far. And now we're back to how flat the angles are. And how flat Earth must be to get them.
Don't miss the hidden gem here.
Yeah, the sticks represent as zenith points on the ground, and shadows and the angles to the sticks.
No.
He's using a flat Earth.
No, that's not. He showed that on the bike halfway along the trip in the orange, but then when he showed where he got angles from, he got them off a flat baseline. With respect to horizontal, he told us the degree. Again, necessitating a flat Earth to assert at all. So while he might say, oh no, they come from the centre of hell, and these sticks coming out of the protractor that is now Earth, an orange, are the angle I took off the flat surface I've just measured. They're not. He was never in hell. And the angles that he took weren't coming out of the centre of it. They were on the surface measured flat, as he's just shown in his diagrams.
Both of those
Don't miss-
sundials. And since the sun is really far away, we can...
We mustn't forget that you assume that. I didn't make any assumptions about the sun, but you must make assumptions about it based on Kepler and Huygens.
calculate the angle that those two sundials would meet up at if they met in the center of the Earth.
Why would we be doing that if they were meeting at the centre of Earth? Okay, now peel back this tarmac like you peeled back the orange peel. Dig your way to hell and we'll see if that's true. We'll obviously have a circumference value then, because you'll have dug down the radius value to the centre of hell. Meanwhile, you've just measured a flat Earth and you're saying if I make Earth the protractor and the angles meet at the centre, we'll see how spherical it is. You didn't do that though, that's not what you measured.
We take the angle from Regina and subtract it from the angle in Stoughton, and we get 1.5 degrees.
So if we minus the angles taken off a flat surface and instead infer the change in the protractor rotating at the centre of a sphere, so wouldn't that mean that you'd have to change and check the angle that was the circumference of the Earth in the first place as a protractor with you at the centre of it? No, if we transpose these angles off a flat plane to the centre, no, why would we do that? I mean, anybody on the panel care to tell me why on earth I would take two flat Earth angles that necessitated an assertion of a flat baseline to give me a degree off horizontal in two different locations? Why I would then say, if these were taken from hell, how is that reasonable? Anybody at all?
It's not. That's
It's part
simple.
of the procedure. If you presuppose a ball, that's just how you do celestial navigation on a ball.
We're
You
not
do it
doing-
in hell.
Well, we're not doing celestial navigation, but the point is that, no, when you say it's part of the procedure he just disseminated to his audience and mine was most assuredly not rotating a sphere Earth to give us the difference in degrees from the centre. It was measuring an angle off the surface flat. That's what he actually did in terms of procedural measurements, not an experiment.
Oh no, not an experiment for sure.
Now, he's telling us he can get sun shadows from hell.
Okay.
I tried earlier, but let me try again. The sticks had to be level, and he called them something. What if the baller's been saying all along that this something proves a globe? Sundial. He called them sundials.
Yeah.
And it's in the celestial sphere, the Earth is stationary, and the luminaries are moving. They still adhere to that, because it's easier that way. And there's a picture in the Master D that I put that Paula sent, and it shows in a room. According to Eratosthenes, this table is a ball. You may want to show that. You see the different length of shadows.
Perfect. Thank you, Paula, and thank you for putting it up at the perfect moment. Yeah, exactly. This doesn't, as he alluded to earlier, in any way prove that you're taking measurements from a spherical surface. And when you break down what the measurements actually are, they're measurements off a flat plane. That's what they are. Anyway, we'll get back into it for a bit, see what else he's got to say.
That means that the angle that those meet up at in the center of the Earth is...
Sorry, they didn't meet up in the centre of the Earth. Did they? There were two angles from a flat plane.
1.5 degrees, or 1/240th of the circumference of the Earth.
What, if Earth was the protractor? Earth isn't a protractor, and you're not standing in the middle of it. But if you take two flat Earth elevation... I keep saying elevation angle measurements. If you take two flat Earth angle measurements off a flat baseline, you can say that if they met at the centre of a sphere, well, that would make the angle that you just took not an angle anymore, because you'd just be curving the baseline, wouldn't you? So your angle wouldn't be an angle. You couldn't take the difference between two positions that had straight lines meeting curved lines, which would be what your surface is implied to be if you put these at the centre and say the angle is in reference to how much I twist the Earth as a protractor. Well, that protractor's got a curved edge to it, and the baseline that you just used to get the angles wasn't. It was flat, like the Earth is. exactly as you measured it,
Well,
flat.
he stated at the beginning he needed to fly to somewhere where it's perfectly flat and straight for 140 kilometers, which is 86, 87 miles, which would have almost 500 feet of drop. So he stated that he's got to use something flat for that distance, which negates the whole argument of an arc to a curve.
That's why when he said that, that's the first thing I pointed out. The first thing I heard when he came in. Oh, I'm going to use this road that's 140 kilometers straight. To do what? To prove that it's curved? That's insanity.
Well, even exactly, and even if he took it to the center of a circle, then the vertex meets at the center, and two straight lines would meet a curved surface. But he didn't use a curved surface; he used a flat surface. So I mean, it's just mind-boggling.
And now that we know that the distance we measured is 1/240th of the way around the whole Earth.
No, you no way, shape or form got that. You inferred that the angles of a flat Earth were moved to the centre of hell, and then Earth became the protractor.
If we take the distance that I measured, the distance that I biked, and multiply it by 240, we can figure out how big the circumference of the entire world is.
No, it'd violate the measurements you just took of angles. So absolutely not. There's immediately a massive break in logic here.
When we do that, we end up with 33,120 kilometers.
Of a protractor that was taking measurements off the surface and then became a protractor of Earth. And now you've measured the size of your protractor that you're saying is Earth with a curved surface that wouldn't give you the angles you measured in the first instance. This is an abomination.
By my calculations, that is the size of the Earth.
Well, really? Well, after measuring it flat, I'm thinking no.
And it's pretty darn close. The true size of the Earth
is unmeasurable. It's definitely not a sphere, though. I mean, that would imply a shape, and we're dealing with a flat plane, an aspect, which you have utilised to tell you how flat somewhere is, with reference to sea level. Level! Yeah, level Earth. Like the measurements you took, the angles.
Is 40,075 kilometers.
Meaningless drivel. The angles he took in the first instance would have curved lines to them. If this angle wasn't an angle anymore, it makes no sense.
Which means that my measurements and
Oh,
calculations
nonsense. It doesn't mean anything. Like I say, you'd have a curved line to the angle you took in the first place, because you took it off a flat Earth.
are only 17% off.
Meaningless nonsense.
Eratosthenes' measurements and calculations were maybe
Undefined, because you don't know how big a stadia is, but now you're going to tell us how far off they were? Really? So you know how far off they were when you don't know how big a stadia is, but they're within 16%? Show us the actual measurement then. Where's the actual measurement of a radial value or a circumferential value? Where's that? So we can compare. You're going to give that right at the end then? You're going to show us exactly how it's been measured, so you can compare and contrast your garbage that used flat Earth to give you something that worked at the middle of a sphere, you assumed?
maybe 16% off.
Maybe. Maybe it's 159 million% off. We don't know, do we? Because we don't know how big a stadia is. Meanwhile, a stadia, even if you measured that at a distance off a flat plane to see the angle difference between the sun in two positions when you're at their GP, yeah, well, that difference is still being measured off a flat plane.
I'm really happy with how that turned out.
Me too. You proved a flat Earth repeatedly and then inferred your religion on the centre of hell with the angles that wouldn't be angles anymore if you put them there.
Man,
When Eratosthenes,
man, Nathan, 1%, 16%, same difference, man. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, if you're
15%.
contradicting measurements, I mean, really, it doesn't matter if it's 1% or 16% of the amount you're contradicting it.
While we use units that have been lost to time, we don't even know what the guy was talking about. We don't know how big a stadia is, but yeah. Well, he's off by 1%.
Well, that's it, right? How do you know you were off by 1% of a unit you couldn't use while you prove a flat Earth? Well, it's
He should have used town halls. If he'd used town halls, it'd have been within 6%. There'd be no variant, just within 6% if he'd used town halls.
What if
That's
he used a
great.
Coliseum instead of a stadium?
Well, yeah, but he used, right at the beginning, the flattest, straightest park that he knew on Earth in Saskatchewan for 140 kilometers, 86 miles flat. He used that.
Yeah,
Anthony
because what
did
else
this
would you
experiment.
use? A curved Earth? Tim? Get out of here.
Yeah, he couldn't do it if the ground was curving away at 8 inches per mile squared. I mean, then he wouldn't have any angles because the baseline would be curved. You know, when he levelled out his so-called sundials? Yeah, well, you wouldn't have a baseline to get an angle off if it was curving away.
Over 2,000 years ago.
Well, based on his radius value, that would be 5,000 feet of drop on just 86 miles. But he said it was flat. How can he have 5,000 feet of drop from one tangent point to another? And then, I mean, it just, I can't relate.
He not only proved that the world is round.
No, he didn't. I asked earlier, it was ambiguous whether or not he inferred that this measurement that could equally be done spherical. If Earth was spherical, you could do this. There'd be many other effects that would go alongside it. But ultimately, the change in shadows, I should put it up again, isn't in no way an inference of a spherical surface. But then when you use what's on screen now, flat, and then say that the angles you measured off a flat baseline can infer that if they were in the middle of a ball, well, then all of these angles would have curved lines under them and wouldn't be angles anymore. So it violates the first measurement. But he thinks that this proved Earth's a sphere? No, it's a numpty way of taking flat Earth angles and putting them in hell, and then violating the angle that wouldn't be an angle anymore from the surface to say that it's a certain size. What, a ball that couldn't be a ball because you couldn't get angles from it anymore to make this inference? Utterly absurd. Quick shout out to Original D-Rose. This numpty reiterates the term circumference. Does this numpty not know the term circumferal does not solely denote the description of that which is globular or spherical? Question mark. I don't know what he doesn't know, D-Rose, but I really appreciate the super chat. Thank you very much indeed for your generosity. Did you want to drop something in because you're here? No, I'm good, man. Okay.
But he measured it and proved that it is a knowable thing. The Earth is something we can experiment on and look.
Just keeps doing it. Now he's done his little nonsense flat Earth measurements to infer sphericity. He's back to experiment, experiment, experiment because I've proven a sphere. No, you haven't. No, you didn't. No, it wasn't.
Learn about.
He calculated it, not measured it.
He calculated Earth as a sphere with flat Earth angle measurements, yes.
I'm really happy with how well my experiment turned out.
It wasn't an experiment, it was a measurement that was off a flat plane.
Because I have confirmed that the
You haven't confirmed Jack. You've confirmed Earth is flat, and that's how you've been measuring it.
Earth is indeed round.
No, is indeed round when you take flat Earth angle measurements and transpose them to the centre of a presupposed sphere, you assume, to infer that the Earth is the protractor and not the angle measuring device used on the surface that is flat and used flat. Definitely haven't proven Jack.
Is it round or spherical? Which is it?
And I measured it to be 33,120 kilometers around.
No, you didn't. You calculated it with angles off a flat Earth. It's not measuring, Jack. You think you've measured something. Notice how when this dipshit makes angle measurements, he can say that everything he's done thereafter is a measurement of Earth's circumference. We say you take an elevation angle measurement off a flat Earth and people say, that's not an angle measurement. Yeah, it is. It's an angle measurement off a flat Earth. No, it's not. No, it's a calculation of a flat Earth. No, it isn't. It's a measurement of a flat Earth. Like he did. He was measuring a flat Earth too with 90s on the ground and degrees off a flat baseline. Yeah, that's a flat Earth measurement that he did. The measurement that he did, the only thing he measured, angles, was on a flat Earth. But from that he can infer that his calculation using flat Earth angle measurements is a measurement of Earth's sphericity and circumferal value. Oh my God. Know the difference between measurement, that would be what you did on a flat Earth, measure, and calculation. One that includes a bastardization of the angle you first took, I might add. That's not measuring a sphere, Dumbo.
And that's not exactly right, but
it's not right at all because you took angles from a flat Earth.
I mean, my measurement
Yeah.
is closer to the Earth than it is to Mars, and I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah, back to Kepler's assumptions of interplanetary motion scaling from Kepler and Huygens' assumption of Venus having the same hour as Earth for him to assert how Mars is so far away. My God, he doesn't know
Hey,
any of his own
Nathan.
rhetoric. Go on.
Nathan, do you think they're deliberately saying round and not spherical because they know that they're getting the measurements from a flat Earth? It's possible it could be flat and
No.
round.
No, that's just poor
No.
linguistics. Where we have to be hyperspecific here, vigilant and hyperspecific with our language, he doesn't. He can play fast and loose, and it doesn't matter to him. Why? Well, because he's got 150,000 subscribers. Why would he have to be careful with his wording? He doesn't. He can say round when he means spherical. He can use flat earth angles when he's saying they're coming from hell. It don't matter. He's a baller. He can do whatever he likes. We have to be hyperspecific. We have to employ the Socratic method. We have to define terms because we are flat earthers.
Perfect answer.
That the reason
He measured a halibut, but thought he was on an orange.
measurement isn't 100% accurate is because
It's rounding out with the measurement. It wasn't one. The only measured bit was flat Earth. Isn't 100% accurate. So not only is it not an empirically validated experiment, it's not even an accurate measurement.
didn't manage to line things up perfectly. So
In your measurement of a flat Earth, the angles that you got off the flat baseline.
we took the measurement about 12 minutes too late, which is enough to make an error of 17%.
But the angle error was an angle error off a flat Earth. The angle changed, didn't it? So you're changing how much flat Earth angles are represented off a flat Earth when you take them off a flat baseline. Yeah, it doesn't make any difference to the sphericity because there isn't any.
Still, I'm really, really happy with how well it turned out.
It wasn't accurate. It wasn't an experiment. I don't know how far Stadia is. I don't know how to compare, but it's within 1 to 16%. I'm elated. I failed on 9 out of 10 counts, but I'm really
Sounds like he's
pleased.
in love with his ball. He's
Wait a
really
minute, would
over
it
a
have been-
globe.
Would it have been better if he bought a Rubik's Cube and did this? With a Rubik's Cube, he could have pretty much kind of met us halfway.
Well, at least with the
Versus
Rubik's
the
Cube, when he ripped off
ball.
half of the top layer and said, look, I'm going to put it in the center of the Rubik's Cube, at least the angles would still be angles. Where he's done it and said
Yeah.
they're coming from the center of a sphere, the angles that were on the top of the Rubik's Cube on a flat plane with 90s suddenly stop being angles when you put them in the middle of an orange. A Rubik's Cube at least doesn't have that problem.
I tried to do experiments that are
I did a failed mathematical measurement. It wasn't very successful. Pause. I like to do experiments, inferring that this was one. What a bloody outrage.
almost impossible, that are just at the border of being impossible.
An experiment that's impossible, you'd find that out at the hypothesis construction stage, not when you're out on your bike thinking that you're observing phenomena, when you measure angles that aren't very good off a flat plane. Okay, it wasn't an experiment. Experiments have empirical outcomes. Hypothesis actualization only has an empirical outcome attached to it. You either cause the effect or you don't. And if you don't, you validate your null hypothesis. Zero difference result. A didn't cause B. Tick! Validated. Empirically. But you think I tried to do experiments that are just on the edge of being... Oh, what a clown. You have absolutely no idea what science is. Why? Because you're a numpty bull believer. Give him 176,000 subscribers.
And so if they always worked out perfectly 100% of the time, I think I wouldn't be trying things that are hard enough.
Really? Why did you call them experiments? Why do you think this is science? Why is it that when you take flat earth measurements, you think you can put them in the middle of a ball and then tell me how accurate the measurements of angles aren't anymore?
Sometimes I get asked, how do I make enough money from these videos to fund big science projects like
How does he get enough money with 176,000 subscribers to ride a bike on a flat road? Yeah, I mean, it must be awful for you. Yeah, only the other day I heard Penguin Z moaning about some other YouTuber and the hypocrisy of him moaning about how hard it was to stream for 6 hours a day. Yeah, I've got the vaguest idea. You're e-begging with this many... You get promoted. This video How many views has this had? 4 million. Yeah, I could pay my rent 15 times over with this single video's views in ad revenue, but you're going to plead poverty? What a bloody outrage. How dare you plead poverty? It's disgraceful. Only I can plead poverty. Only I can e-beg.
Hey, Nathan,
Good one.
Nathan, can I add something? I
Yes,
have a
go ahead.
question. Does the term experiment only be used with the antecedent adverb scientific, or can you do an experiment that doesn't necessarily have to be scientific? Because they use scientific experiment, or they use the word experiment, and people
Fine, good
automatically
question.
assume that
Yes,
it's
no, that's
scientific.
fine.
Could you
There is
clarify?
a
Thank you.
crossover in vernacular where colloquially you can say, I went down to the BMX track and experimented with my bike on the jumps. That would be a perfectly acceptable use of the word experiment in a colloquial sense. Yeah. I'm sure you've heard, the scary government-based don't experiment with drugs. Are you validating a cause and effect relationship, or do you have a crack problem? You know what I mean? Experimenting isn't necessarily contextualized, except when you're here. Why, you ask? When you're here, is it contextualized? Because of the subject matter we deal with. What is science? Well, when we are dealing with the natural world, we are very specific in our categorization of our subject. Therefore, the categorization of the type of science we specifically detail is natural science. Natural science is cause and effect reasoning based on systematic experimentation after formulation of a viable hypothesis. That is science when you contextualize around nature. That's what we're dealing with. What's the name of the show? Flat Earth Debate. What are we dealing with? The nature of the world. Therefore, when we say science, it's natural science. Cause and effect reasoning based on a hypothesis. We're not talking about experimenting on our bikes on a BMX track. We're talking about establishing the cause of an effect. He's using the terminology, not because he's saying, I'm experimenting on my bike to see how well it'll do on this flat road in terms of how much, tyre wear I've got. That would be a reasonable use of the word experiment. I'm experimenting with how my gears work on this flat terrain. Fair enough. That's not what he's doing. He's hijacking the terminology of an empirical method, so that when he says, I'm doing experiments, after declaring he's proven Earth's sphericity in its measurement, qualitatively and quantitatively. Oh, right, have you? Oh, right, and you like to just do experiments that are just on the edge of just being a bit too hard? Please give me money. Oh, right, I see. Not an experiment. No, definitely not. A failed measurement, if that. Hope that answers your question.
I don't know if
Go ahead.
I don't know if I'd call it a failed measurement. He measured the Earth flat. It failed from his perspective, maybe.
Yeah, I tried to highlight that. It doesn't matter that you were a few minutes off when you measured a flat Earth. You measured a flat Earth. All right, you were late with your angles when you were trying to get them to work somehow with your sphere. Oh well. Thank you for the explicit description, Nathan. No problem. Thanks for the super chat, D-Rose. Really appreciate all the support. Only I am justified in
And my answer to that is that I don't.
If you think this guy, with his considerably larger channel than me, doesn't make enough money to go out on a bike, then imagine how I feel. Hit the PayPal link if you want to support this channel. Please become a Patreon.
I don't even make enough money from this channel to pay for my expenses, let alone my time.
Now divide your channel by a considerable margin and wonder how people responding to you feel when they get absolutely no promotion. You think one of my videos is going to go viral with 4 million views? No, definitely not. I won't even appear in the searches to have many, 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 many people to e-beg to like you have here. Lucky old you. See, what I'd hope for, Curtis, and I do this daily, is I share your video because I get absolutely no algorithmic love whatsoever, and I'm totally dependent on the good-hearted nature of the people who support me financially, because I'm not getting any algorithmic love, therefore any ad revenue. You are definitely getting ad revenue off a 4 million view video, and you've got plenty of people to appeal to because you will appear in searches that I will not. But what I do ask when I share your link and ask people to help you further in the algorithmic love that you do receive is that they leave you a comment that lets you know I responded to your video, pointing out your flat earth angle measurements. And I would hope that I would receive algorithmic love via you, because I'm not getting it from YouTube, and I'm certainly not paying my rent or fixing cars or doing anything beyond scraping by with this tiny little YouTube channel that gets no algorithmic love from YouTube. But meanwhile, the single time that somebody has actually responded to me, what that particular weasel and Matthew Learns did was put it on a totally unknown channel with no subscribers rather than his 500,000 subscriber channel. So I saw no benefit from his response, and nobody saw my link going by, like I'm putting out to the maximum audience I feasibly can. But like I say, as you can see, I'm putting your link and asking people to go to your video, giving you more views, giving you more, maybe subs, but giving you more comments, algorithmically benefiting you, only to get screwed over and never responded to, and never ever having my link shared by YouTube or anybody else on my tiny channel that I work 24/7 to keep running and scrape by with. But you carry on. I'll play out your full e-begging plight.
But if you want, so that means someone just subscribed to my channel. If you want to support what I do.
Yeah, you're doing so well that even while you're making this outro, people are subbing you. Yeah, you're actually elated with how well you're doing, and I don't blame you. I would be over the moon and probably set for life if I had the same number of subscribers. I never probably will, because I'll never receive the algorithmic love that you do. But you carry on e-begging because you want more, don't you?
Do here on this channel. Please check out my Patreon page. Every little bit helps. And
yeah, I bet it does. Yeah, I bet it bought that really beautiful bike that you had. Me? Yeah, I'm struggling. I'm not going to lie either. When I see somebody much, much bigger than me moaning about how hard life is, somebody with 5 million subscribers moaning about how difficult it is to stream for 6 hours a day, and the grind is starving them of having a life. So I got up at 6 o'clock and started fixing a crap old car that's 22 years old, so I could just about manage to get my kids to classes. Yeah, that's my life, scraping by, e-begging daily, and making sure, come hell or high water, I do a very long stream, make sure I get a members-only video, supply my second channel with material, e-beg the entire time. That's what I've got to do, just to scrape by. But yeah, you appeal to my little audience for your Patreon.
And actually, every patron adds a drop in the bucket. Another way you can support me is to subscribe to my channel.
Yeah, and you get it in spades, mate. You've got loads of them, by comparison to me. I mean, don't get me wrong, you're not PewDiePie, but I'm sure you can make a living off 176,000 subscribers with just ad revenue. Yeah, it's not enough, I realise, but, you know, for me, I don't get any of that love.
And like this video.
Yeah, do the same for me. All of that and more. Subscribe, hit my PayPal link, hit my like button, and go and share our algorithmic love with this guy. Go and click on his link that I put in the chat. Say Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. And hopefully this guy will see my plight and hear my pain, my real pain. Yeah?
It's not just meaningless.
See this smile, this sug smile? Yeah, me on camera. Oh, my camera's bust. I was going to go on camera and you could see the pain look on my face after a distressing, however long it's been.
Internet points.
I'm probably over-egging this pudding, aren't I?
Actually affects the algorithm, which changes how many people will see my science content. So that's huge for me.
You don't have science content. We do. We disseminate what actual science is on a daily basis, but you want people to subscribe and grow your channel that's already much, much bigger than anybody who's covering the subjects that you're trying to undo. Earth is spherical, by the way, not that you all had this original religion that you were indoctrinated with from childhood, but I need to reaffirm it for you all. Please subscribe to my Patreon. It's really hard. Yeah, anyway, I better shout out the super chats that have actually come in the meantime. So shout out to Russ, who says, enjoyed the show. Thanks, Nathan. Oh, really appreciate the support. Thank you very much indeed.
Honestly, I absolutely need to thank Casey and Ryan and everyone at the Saskatchewan Science Centre for
making science possible with tape measures. Okay, I think that's it. He's just going to keep plugging his stuff. I don't think we've got any more Ball Earth rhetoric from him. Any other comments?
No, in chat, you got a lot of people denying that this baller has claimed over and over again how flat Earth is. It's unreal.
I've already measured it. Okay, no worries. Fortunately, I have got the best weapon possible when this happens in the chat. It's called 10th Man. Because what 10th Man has done is taken all of the appropriate screenshots that I need to show him exactly how flat he measured it. Yeah? Here is him talking about his measurement of centimetres of shadow. Here is him detailing how the process along a flat road that he measured and made sure to make sure was very flat. And here, check that right angle out. That is a right angle. This is a flat line. And this is his angle that he's measuring with respect to horizontal or the baseline. See, that would be a flat earth. You notice how this line here, it's not curving and falling away at 8 inches per mile squared. I mean, if it was, you wouldn't be drawing 90s on it, would you? Shh, don't mention the 90. Yeah, this is a flat earth that he measured repeatedly. Flat ground for angles. Yeah, that's why he picked somewhere really flat. So he could do this. Flat earth measurement. Maybe this isn't sinking in, guys, in the chat. Or maybe it's just that little bit too painful to acknowledge that this angle is only possible if Earth is flat. Yeah, that is actually the case, though. You don't have to like it. Any other comments? No? Well, what I'm going to do at this point...
Well, yeah,
go ahead.
I just wonder why he's getting so many views and who's viewing it, really, because is it people maybe who are hearing about the flat Earth and then they're thinking, well, they're trying to find things that, well, supposed things that prove the globe, because, I mean, it's just old false rhetoric, what they're listening to, that, you know, we can disprove in an instant. But why? Who is watching? How many people are watching this and why? I can't understand it.
Well,
I do.
All the people that hear that there are these weird people that are running around saying the Earth is flat, right? And then they need to have some type of confirmation bias. Well, they have confirmation bias, so they need to affirm that. So they go find the quick video that says, "Hey, I proved the Earth is a globe with my bike." They just watch it one time. Don't care what this guy says. Don't listen to him saying he's using straight roads and right angles and all this other shit, units he doesn't even know what they are, but he's off by 16%. They don't need none of that. They just have to have the existence of the video. They clicked it one time, and that affirms their belief in a globe. And there you have it.
Unfortunately, 100% right, Chocolate. It's sad.
Mine's close to chocolates. What happens is people who know the arguments well from this show encounter one of their friends. Devastating, can't respond. Housekeeping questions, for example. Then what they need, because they're hurting, they go online and say answers to flat earthers or type in whatever. And then they run across videos like this or Lawrence Krauss or whoever. And they go, oh, good. For a minute, I thought the earth was flat because that guy was making sense. But now this guy on the bike with the orange, I get it now. So it's confirmation bias for that to relieve the pain. So what did that produce when the pain keeps happening? That produces the trolls eventually. They become trolls. They change and become trolls, and they haunt you on your chat, and they curse at you. They get mad at flat earthers for giving good arguments because we're living rent-free in their head. This is the greatest thing that's ever happened, is all these people having to confirm their bias, put out all these videos. We're going to look back one day and say that was the greatest thing ever.
Yeah, that's great.
You're
It just shows you.
right too.
Yeah, it just shows you it's in the heads, and it shows you how many people are thinking about it, and how much they're getting scared, but they're just falling on these stupid videos. You're exactly right, guys. Exactly correct. Nice one.
Okay, I am going to wish, first and foremost, a massive thank you to both Discord and G+ panels for making today's live show possible. Obviously, I'm hoping everyone will stay tuned because I'm going to continue with the after show, as weird as this sounds, whilst live, so that I can stress the computer and test it. But a huge, massive, enormous thank you to, obviously, all of you for tuning in, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, hitting the super chat and all that good stuff. But the discussion will continue, so stay tuned for the after show. Hopefully we'll move everyone across to the after show in in Discord. So it is kind of like an after show, but still live. So if you want to hang around, you'll see what it would normally be like in the after show. But if we do have a crash of the computer, at least I've thanked the panel and you, the audience, for tuning in and liking and sharing and all that good stuff. But the conversation will continue. So if you're happy with that, guys, pretend we've just done an outro. Dun, 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 dun.
See, but the difference is when I first came to the topic and I searched answers for flat Earth and things like that, I got some flat Earth stuff. Now you can't get that. It's terrible. All you get is this nonsense.
Everyone. Are you talking about the nonsense where he proved a flat Earth over and over again? And then
Yeah, but didn't you hear what he said? We get it. That man was right. The people that don't understand the argument get it, but a common person just searching through, shoot, Earth is flat. Let me see an answer. Boom, they pop on this, and oh, thank God, this guy proved it's a sphere. I can relax now.
I see what Neil's doing. Sorry, Neil's trying to do something here. Sorry, John. Sorry, John.
What argumentative point are you going to go for with
it
that?
Doesn't matter, John. It doesn't matter. It just
I think I picked up what Neil's putting down, John. That's why I'm trying to get a word in. I think you've been trying to do this all show, and it's just the penny has just dropped what you're trying to do, Neil. You're saying, how is it the case that somebody starts hearing about flat Earth and then they end up with this guy being heavily promoted, and they find this guy and it's affirming their bias for a sphere? How is that? How'd you get from A to B in that regard? Well, we were told in 18 by Congress, when YouTube had to sit before them, and they told them what action they would take to deal with flat earthers, to deal with people who highlight that this guy took a measurement from a flat Earth. To deal with us, what would they do? Well, YouTube said that they would offer up, quote, preferred content. In other words, if you're looking for flat Earth, you'll find what we would prefer you find on YouTube. Well, what would they prefer you find on YouTube? This. A guy who measures a flat Earth and tells you, therefore, it's a sphere. He will be promoted. People who say you measure a flat Earth with these angles and then don't conclude with, but therefore it's a sphere, censor them. Make sure that everybody else who's saying anything contrary gets promoted above them in the lists. So this guy might not be, he's not a flat Earth channel. I don't doubt he's covering all sorts of different subjects with his science. Okay. But that means that when he does cover flat Earth, he'll get 4 million views, and he doesn't need censoring in the meantime for everything else he does. So it means that flat Earth will promote him, give him subscribers, because he's being exposed to anybody who searches that subject. While the people actually specialising in the subject, us, who disseminate the same thing, just pointing out that you don't have to go to hell after you've measured an angle, well, we get heavily censored. So you end up with this guy being what everyone's served up, and it just affirms their bias, even if they don't want it to. Even if they wanted to find out about the flat Earth, which is what they typed in, they don't. They find out about the globe Earth when they type in flat Earth, and how flat it isn't when you measure it flat and put it in hell, the angle, that is.
Yep, exactly.
But that would mean they'd have to have an algorithm that determined the incoherence of your words. To, like, the more incoherent, the more recommended you are, is what it would seem like.
I think you've got plenty of people who assess these videos, and upon being flagged as, no, this guy's going to be producing flat Earth content, that's it. Once you're marked in the algorithm, like we are with the tramp stamp daily. I mean, did this guy get a tramp stamp? I don't know. Let's have a little look. Yeah, he got a flat Earth tramp stamp. He got a flat Earth tramp stamp and 4 million views. Right? So he's identified as flat Earth. But have they said, oh, well, because it's covering flat Earth, he says the words in it, do we need to shove it to the bottom? It's had 4 million views. So obviously anti-flat Earth rhetoric. That will have been everything that you could possibly need to find when you're typing in flat Earth. He doesn't say flat Earth in the title. It may not even be in his tags. I can't see in his description where it's suddenly popping out at me as saying flat Earth really near the top. So, but, you know, the algorithm's picked it up. Someone's had a look, gone, no, this is definitely anti-flat Earth. He's saying how it proves a sphere. Okay. So there we go. And just in case you were listening to some of the elevation angle, no, I keep saying it, some of the angle measurements he took, like on screen now, and thought for 1 minute that the angle measurements off a flat Earth meant Earth was flat, There's your tramp stamp below. Here you go. Earth isn't flat. Look, here it says it on the tramp stamp.
Why is it not an elevation angle measurement? I'm not understanding why you're making the distinction.
What elevation of what? The sun? It's the angle difference that he's taking. It's just the angle difference along the ground, how much it extends, as opposed to the change in elevation position through a sextant of the sun. So I wouldn't call it an
well, how are
elevation.
you saying it has to be with the sextant to get an elevation angle?
I'm not saying it has to be with the sextant. I'm saying it has to be of the elevation of the sun, as opposed to the difference in length of shadow on the ground. That wouldn't be an elevation, would it?
But the angle from where the end of the shadow, the line that you would draw there, that gives you an angle.
Meeting at the sun.
Elevation angle.
No, you're right. It meets at the sun. It's in this diagram, right? So, yeah, I suppose you're right. I could call it an elevation angle.
Well, I think you said earlier,
just a quick one.
to the horizontal.
Sorry.
Go on, one deck.
Just saying.
Well, it's
I was just saying, just repeating a bit what we've just already said. It's a shame, really, because the majority of them people, like we're saying, are probably people who have heard about flat Earth and want to look into the globe, like we've just already explained. But and I'm speaking for myself, probably a few years ago with the Eratosthenes story, you miss you miss what's happening because you told the story and it sounds great and this is how we measure the globe. You don't know about them elevation angles and horizontal and angles to the sun as an average Joe. So, like you say, you just hit that. They find him, and it just all sounds so convincing, and it's got to be right. But because they don't know what we know, it's just a bloody shame.
I don't know.
It just shows how many people. It just shows how many people are trying to get into it and want to try and find the truth, and there's a wall in front of them, or a globe.
I don't know about anybody else, but all I heard was a cry for help. A desperate plea, if you will, because he was 3.9 centimeters shorter in vagina.
I'm good.
I was wrong. When I said we're not 13, a few years.
We're 12.
Hey, I got to go in 3 minutes, but I want to answer John's statement, or I think maybe it was Neil's. I'm not sure, but it was about the system won't allow your channel to. It has to shove your channel in the basement of the internet because the system that wants to control people's minds and thoughts has these guys up there on top because this is the way they want people to think. This is how they control people. And so you have to break the system because they run it.
Well, let's hope nobody, whoever watched that video, or any of these other, most of these other Eratosthenes videos, let's hope they never actually look into what Eratosthenes actually did or been claimed to do. Because then they'd find out that he had to presume the Earth was a sphere of a radius 3959 miles. And he had to presume that by then, after he'd measured everything flat and proved there was absolutely no way that geometrically the Earth could be a globe, he then went and said, but if the sun was really big and far away.
Well, this guy did the same. Brian, this guy did the same thing, except he came out that we're in orange.
Yeah, this. I only heard the end of this. It was pathetic. I have not less to say on it. He couldn't even get his calculations right. I mean, come on, you don't. 33,000 instead of 4. That's 7,000 kilometers. You bozo. Even I could do it and get closer. I don't have to get because I'm not measuring any globe, so I can just go blah 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 40 whatever thousand kilometers. You know what I mean?
Brian, he was only 16% off using a unit that he doesn't even know. That's been lost to time.
Yeah,
Don't
but I
worry
want to
about
ask you a question about that, Chocolate. If he was 16, 17% off, I thought science was to validate something empirically, right? He keeps saying science, but then he was saying how he was off by 17%. I think he's talking about math.
Science is qualitative, not quantitative.
Well, guys, it's obvious, right? This is so obvious. if you measure angles off a flat plane, then you assume light comes in parallel. Therefore, the Earth is a sphere, and you couldn't measure the angles that you used to assert light was parallel. It's complete sense to me.
Well,
But the thing is,
when he was,
sorry, sorry, Brian.
You go one day.
I'm
you
just
go.
saying, like, I'm just saying it's just a shame because even though we're responding to these videos and we're going and Nathan's going through it, it'd be nice for one of these people who are either looking into flat Earth and getting that bullshit that we've just listened to it'd be nice to go through it and explain it with a whiteboard at the back of you with the circle and the stick and the shadow, and then break it down so they can see, and then spend some time on showing them the presumption, and it's just an angle measurement in two different locations, and we get 7.2 degrees, and then we need to bloody divide that and times it by whatever and then divide it into a circle and drum it into them and show them with drawings and examples. I think that would work better if they stumbled on something like that. Even if they find
do
this
what we do every
response,
day, but with illustration. Do what we do every day, but with illustration.
How ironic! Brian's going to do that on his next show.
I was thinking the same thing.
They already used illustrations. It's called NASA.
What this guy should have done, what he should have done, is when he took his measurement that was 12 minutes too late, he should have then gone,